Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
The Bears.
Because of the way they play the nickel corner here, and the nickel corner plays 88-85% of the snaps. He's got to be like part linebacker.
The Bears.
When you're in a scouting room, there's going to be differences of opinion.
The Bears.
Once coaches get involved, of course, they've got their own opinions about what fits best for what they want to do, and that could be drastically different than what the scouts say.
Well, you're looking at traits, and remember when he tested very, very well.
The Bears.
One thing good about Kevin, he's been with 2 other organizations, as well as being the commissioner of the Big Ten. He's been around.
The Bears.
With Greg Olson, Jerry didn't want to get rid of him. I didn't want to get rid of him. Nobody wanted to get rid of him. One guy wanted to get rid of him, Mike Martz, because Mike Martz didn't know what the hell to do with him. We tried to talk Lovey out of hiring Mike Martz for a month and a half. He's playing zone, but number one, he doesn't get enough depth with the drop. But who the hell's giving? How many times does a 305, 310-pound defensive tackle drop into coverage, especially in a key situation?
The Bears.
Greg, why are teams wrong on quarterback evaluation so often?
Number one, it's a hard position to evaluate. There's probably not as many real good quarterback evaluators as there needs to be.
The Bears. The Bears. The Bears.
Oh, it was huge. I mean, this is the best, the most efficient we've ran.
Snap a bit high. Kick is good. And the Bears win it. Jake Moody, a hero tonight.
I think it says a lot about our locker room right now. They're not just believing, but now they're starting to understand that, man, if this thing's close in the fourth quarter, then someone's going to step up and make a play for us. And we had a number of guys here in this fourth quarter that did that. And so I think these wins sometimes can go a longer way for your program than those blowouts do. So it was good to see.
Welcome, everyone, to a fresh, red-hot episode of GTF right out of the oven. I am Aldo Gandia, and Greg, Gabriel, and I are going to talk about this Bears win. But quickly, I want to tell you there's a show tonight, Buffon 55. There's 2 shows tomorrow. We're loaded with Bears content and hockey and betting and stuff like that. Best way to stay on top of stuff is to subscribe to the channel. You'll get alerts every time we go live. Greg, Gabriel, how are you, my friend?
I'm wonderful. How about you?
I am so happy that, and by the way, Troy Aikman sucks.
Isn't that awful? I mean,
oh my God.
It started for me at, I'm going to say 7 o'clock our time. When I turn on ESPN, because, the Bills game was going to be on ESPN, and they got the pregame show for that. And so they bring in Aikman to preview the Bears game that was on ABC. And he starts throwing the negative shots at Caleb. So, I tweeted about it right away.
I saw that.
And then, of course, during the game, I mean, his bias is just so incredible. And one of the biggest things to me was, okay, there's the bad snap to Caleb. And right away, but he's the quarterback. He should have caught it. Okay. 1 series, 2 series later, Jaden Daniels screws up the snap, fumbles the ball, ends up costing Washington the game. Crickets. Nothing.
Yep. He was stunned by it, and he had his tail between his legs. And, that's not the main story of last night, but I just as
what? Although it was preconceived in their mind, Buck
yes.
and his mind, that this was going to be a Washington win, and the narrative just followed. I mean, get into the beginning of that last drive for Washington, and they're talking about all the Bears' mistakes and all this, and then Washington makes a colossal mistake. Nothing.
Indeed. And you're right. It was a narrative that they came into the game with. They were immediately talking about the Bears' problems on offense. I mean, ad nauseum. They just kept pounding that into the nationwide audience. It was really an embarrassing performance, primarily by Troy Aikman and his accomplice, Joe Buck, who is always making excuses for Troy, and he shouldn't do that. He should be challenging Troy, in my opinion. And so,
in fairness, although this is par for the course with Aikman and the Bears, it's been going on for years. It's not something from last night.
Why do you think that is? Is a history in
I don't know.
The 85
season? Somebody brought up in a post to me today on X, said something, well, maybe it has to do that he went to UCLA and Caleb went to USC. And who the hell knows?
Could be. And then let's just stay on the topic of negativity for another minute. Those officials yesterday, they were horrendous.
Awful.
And I could
the worst called games I've seen in a long time. And I hate saying that because I try to, or I hope that the officials don't play a part in the ball game. But they did. Now, got to give, if we're going to criticize Aikman, we got to, applaud him a little bit too. He did say that illegal formation call on Theo was kind of a BS call, and that cost Bears a touchdown.
And cost Bears a touchdown, and Rome Odunze's streak of games where he catches a touchdown pass ends at 4. He has 5 touchdowns over that period, and he should have had his 6, and that 5-game streak should be continuing.
How about DJ Moore is in a hospital and had to stay overnight in DC?
You want to speculate on what that is? Because I have a guess.
Don't have a clue.
Okay, so he finishes.
Could have been just exhaustion, dehydration. Who knows?
Could have been. I hope that it's not what I fear, which is that he probably went into the locker room and started pissing blood, because as soon as he got injured, he reached back there into that kidney area as he was walking off the field. And so I pray to God that it's not anything like what Jim McMahon experienced.
Here's the thing, though. They didn't have a trainer. Didn't stay with him. Randall L. did.
Okay, CJ Williams is saying that he heard it's a hip on one end, and then he's also heard that it was a liver shot. Heard hip on one end, heard liver shot. So, yeah, I mean, whatever it is, hopefully it's not serious and he'll be headed home real soon. And if he needs to take a week or 2 off, this team is so loaded with talent. I mean, I saw people complaining about why aren't we getting the tight ends more involved still? And it's like, there's an embarrassment to riches. I mean,
no, there really is. And it's starting to come together. I saw a clip. I don't watch a show because I'm too busy. But there was a clip from ESPN this morning. Was it called Get Up or whatever it's called? Yeah. And, so they have their little round table. And it was very, very pro Bears, and we're just basically seeing the beginning.
Yeah, I did watch Get Up this morning. There was a lot of positive talk. There was one guy on the panel there who said, let's not get ahead of ourselves. The Commanders lost that game. They had 3 turnovers. Blah, blah, blah.
That was Clark, wasn't it?
No, it was what the heck is his name? He used to be a defensive back in the league. Somebody help me out. Woodbury, something like that. I don't know, but it'll come to me. Nonetheless, the national media is starting to take notice that this team has a certain resiliency that Matt Eberflus talked about yesterday. These are the kind of games that they would lose in previous seasons, but they believe in themselves, and that is a great thing.
Oh, no question. And how about this? And I didn't realize it until after the game. Final score of the last 2 games, 25-24.
Yes. I noticed that this morning when I was putting my notes together.
And pretty much won the same way.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that in the press conference for Coach Johnson last night that really struck me was when he said this.
Honestly, this was probably the smallest menu we've had going into a week, and maybe that has something to do with us being able to execute a little bit better, a little bit less volume. But like you said, we had just a few different ways that we wanted to attack this team, and they did a good job.
Greg, do you think that could be a reason why they were so proficient in their run game, because they didn't have to worry about a Danu's menu worth of plays and assignments?
No, I think, part of it's the change with Theo. He's a better run blocker.
Much
than
better.
Braxton. But how about the except for blitzes, the protection was pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Yep.
I mean, Caleb sat there and had a lot of time on some throws.
Mm-hmm.
I got to say, there was one other criticism. I got to say it. So Caleb rolls to his right, runs, gets a first down. So when they do the end zone one, asshole Aikman goes, yeah, but look at he had Rome open deep. Guess what? It was a scheduled run.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was
a run call.
And it was Rome's job to clear
take the corner out and clear out. Absolutely.
Exactly. Kurt Warner actually got onto a debate with somebody because Justin Fields threw a pass out into the flat, but Mason Taylor, the tight end, was wide open, and Warner was trying to say he did not miss Mason Taylor. This play is designed for a flat. Get the snap, throw it immediately to pick up the first down. You guys don't know what you're talking about, and a lot of times we don't.
That's a really important point because. And I'm glad that Kurt said that, even though it had nothing to do with the Bears game.
Right.
We don't know, as outsiders watching a game, is who's number one, who's number two, who's number three in the progression. Number three could be wide open, but you got to get to number three before you can throw the ball.
Indeed. And I have to disagree a little bit with my great friend Heidi Zimmerman. She says, I don't see it as an ugly win. It was a nice win. Luck is on our side. I agree that I don't see it as an ugly win, but I don't know if it was so much luck as it was that perseverance that we're not going to stop, the fumble, one could look at that as being lucky. I'd rather see it as the pressure was on the Commanders. Jaden Daniels did not handle the pressure well. He probably had a lapse of concentration. The Bears, I don't know if they got they got one sack, I believe. But but they were harassing him all game long. And
the pressure was the best it's been all year.
I felt bad for Montez Sweat because he was so close so many times, and he just wasn't rewarded.
No kidding. I mean, he was this far away from having three.
Indeed. I have a stat sheet here. When you look at these stats, you think that Jaden Daniels had a much better game in terms of completion percentage. He was over 70% at 73.1. Caleb was under 60% with 58.6. Daniels had 3 touchdown passes. He did have that one interception, while Caleb had just 1 touchdown pass and no interceptions. And then when you look at those crazy QBR passing rating things, Jaden definitely surpassed Caleb on that. But overall, I have to say that Caleb outplayed Jaden. Does that make any sense to you?
I think Jaden, you can't take anything away from him. He had some good plays and had some really nice throws. That 1 touchdown throw to the corner of the left end zone, left side of the end zone, was a hell of a throw. I mean, the guy's a talented guy. There's no question about it. I'll tell you what I don't like about him. I don't like his persona on the bench. He's, it's like he's not into the game. He's giggling, laughing, talking, and instead of having some sort of serious tone to him.
Interesting that I looked at that, Greg, as it's his way of staying calm. And I think that the biggest progression, or one of the biggest things for Caleb this year in his progression as a quarterback in the NFL, is that he is staying calm. There was a lot of talk about that post game, that it's not like last year where his body language is terrible and so forth. And Cole Kmet told Brad Biggs he was outstanding in the huddle. He took command of the huddle and so forth. This is a big part of being a quarterback, is who you are as a person.
You could see it when they had a couple shots of the huddle and him talking. The hands are going, when he's speaking very emphatically. No, I thought he was impressive. And, they had the camera on him on the bench after the bobble snap. He was obviously frustrated, but he should be frustrated.
Absolutely. Vizzo has a question for you. What do you think about the national media criticizing Caleb for his frustrations on the sideline?
Look, they got a narrative going. They don't want to drop the narrative. There's only one person who can make that go away, and that's him. And he's doing a pretty damn good job of doing it.
He really, really is. In fact, the whole team now has the Ben Johnson effect that people have been calling it. This is what happened in the locker room. It's 2 minutes long, Greg, but I wanted to share.
Yeah, but they bleep out all the F words.
Yeah, they did. They maybe did it for our show. Here it comes.
Yes! Man, let me tell you something. That was a team win.
Yes, sir.
All 3 phases.
Yes, sir.
It took all 3 phases to win that game. And man, let me just tell you this. Just imagine when we clean up these penalties. You guys understand where we're going, right? Some people might say takeaways are lucky. They are not lucky. You earn those things every single week, and we got a trend going right now. A three-piece. Best part of the game was this. Did it go up and down? Yeah. You never blinked, not for a second. Nope. Not for 1 second. Nice and steady, nice and calm the entire way through. And you know what? Whatever it took, we found a way. Hey, I got 2 game balls here. Kicker got called up last
Appreciate all you guys. Shout out to the O-line protecting on that one. Yes, sir. Shout out Tori. Shout out Scott. That was the best stop of the day. And I love you guys, man.
Yes, sir.
I just got to recognize one guy here on offense, because it's taken a minute to get this run game going. And here we go, over 100 yards, 7.7.
That's a team win, fellas.
Yes, sir.
Like you said earlier, all the negativity you heard, who not with us? Let's go. Let's go. We all we got. We all.
That's 3 in a row. And the only thing I need is a little bit more. Good, better, best. Never let it rest. Good gets better. You better get better. Bears on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Greg, how do you feel when you see that? Because you've been in locker rooms celebrating. You've taken a team to the Super Bowl here in Chicago with your work with Jerry Angelo and the team. When you see that, does it bring fond memories?
Oh, yeah, but I don't think we ever had locker rooms like that.
Really?
I'd go down a lot. But the guy, I posted it this morning. These guys, and I had that same clip. I reposted it and then added a thing. I said, these guys are really buying into Ben.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you what cracks me up. You see what a wild man he is there? Yes. 5 minutes later, he's this calm little professor out in front of the media.
And he knows how to turn it on and turn it off. And the guy is brilliant, but he's also still learning. I think as a head coach, we're just seeing him scratch the potential of how he's going to grow as a head coach.
Absolutely. Every day is a learning experience. You got to, you go through something and you learn from it. Part of it's wins and losses. Part of it's how he's calling a game or whatever. But, I like it when he's saying, some things don't go wrong. He puts the blame right on himself.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He holds himself accountable. I didn't call the right play. I didn't do this right.
Yeah.
We've seen too many people point the finger at somebody else.
Yeah. We won't name names, but I think we know who you are, Eberflus. Anyway, the offensive line needs to get a lot of credit. Let's start with Ben Johnson's assessment of the offensive line play last night.
Felt good about how our guys up front were blocking. I thought that was the cleanest they've played as a whole up front. Tight ends included. Our receivers are blocking really well. Going to that last drive, I was thinking this is going to be it for us. And so with that being said, I want to make sure that they didn't have a rebuttal drive either. So told Caleb on the headset, tell the big guys up front that we're going to ride the run game on into the victory. So they came through for us.
Greg, was it Braxton Jones all along? Meaning, is that why the run game wasn't working, because of Braxton Jones?
No, I don't know about that, because he's on one side.
Yeah,
and it's a combination. If you go back and listen, it's another thing I posted late last night. I just said, we've heard enough of the criticism of Swift, and he's the guy who won the game. And I said, if you go back and listen to what Ben has been saying the last couple of weeks, he said it more than once. It's not the running backs.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
I thought that might have been Swift's best game as a Bear.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He's had some good
he was running hard.
He really, really was. And he, after the game, was asked about his performance. I didn't pull the soundbite for us, but he basically said, the blocking was there.
And he was getting yards after contact.
Yes.
And running low, exploding into opponents. The hell of a job he had.
I think a lot of the criticism that Swift got from fans and some members of the media was unfair, because Ben Johnson was basically telling the fans and the media, it's not just him, it's the blocking. We got to fix the blocking. And yet people were saying we need to trade for this guy or do that or whatever. It's just unfair.
Well, Rochad got a couple touches, moved the pile a couple times. One guy had a couple good runs.
Yep.
The way they sprinkle in DJ, excuse me, adds a different touch. So really, they're sharing the wealth, and I think we're going to see more of it this week, especially given that it's a short week. So you got one less day of practice, but it's at home. I haven't even looked to see what the weather's going to be next Sunday, but and the weather, I'm not going to say it was atrocious. It was tough. It wasn't raining as hard as some people were trying to make it out to be, but there was some wind. And these fields all have great drainage. So, come on.
Indeed. So it shouldn't be a problem. I think the weather last night, over the last 10 minutes of the game, it started to become noticeable that, people's face shields were really gathering up a lot of rain. Prior to that, it wasn't so much of a problem. And it may have had something to do with Daniels, the ball slipping out of Daniels' hands when he was trying to hand it off to.
Daniels never had a grasp of the ball.
Yeah.
The snap really went right through his hands. He kind of bobbled it, and then he never handed it off. He kind of tossed it because he didn't, or pushed it, I should say, because he never really had complete control of the ball.
Would you like to see Rojo get more action?
Yeah, you got to earn it, and it depends on the situation. But, he said again, Ben said this last week, he's better now. He's ready to go. So now we can see it. And, he got a couple touches, at least one, maybe two. And the one was a heck of a run. It wasn't very long, but it was only about 8 yards. But he moved the pile in that 8-yard run.
All right, let's turn our attention to the defense, and we'll get back to more offensive talk in a minute here. But let's talk about the defense. They had kind of an up and down performance. Certainly, this team is really good at turning the ball over. They were just really got a nose for the football. Is that something that Dennis Allen has a reputation for, turnovers? Because I have not really heard that.
I don't really know the answer to that, but you create turnovers because you practice creating turnovers.
There you go. There you go.
You know, when we had Lovey and we created a lot of turnovers, that regime, it was practice every day. You could be doing 7-on-7 or even dummy, and those defensive backs or linebackers were trying to strip the ball. Even if it's a semi-walkthrough, it's, you know, protect the ball, keep your hands on it, make sure it's secure.
Yeah, and let's start with the inside of the trenches. We mentioned Montez Sweat getting really, really close, but he was putting pressure on almost all night. What do you think of the interior of the defensive line, the play of Gervon Dexter and the other guys in the middle of the line?
Yeah, I'm going to say this very honestly. I think the defensive line play last night was the best we've seen all year.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought they played very well. They mixed in a lot of guys with the rotation. A lot of guys got snaps. Gervon had 1.5 sacks in that game. And D-Rob had the other half. I thought, honestly, that D-Rob deserved the whole sack, but that's the way the league counted it. But you know, Washington had some good plays. That's going to happen. They're a good football team.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, but all told, there's a couple breakdowns in coverage. Tyreek got beat on the double move for a deep ball, and then somebody blew a coverage on a deep ball on the left side. I got to look at the tape on that to see what happened. But other than that, the coverage was pretty darn good. I think, you know, you give the defense credit. It was a solid game. And, hey, in the fourth quarter when they had to make stops, they made stops.
They sure did. They sure did. Frankie, thank you for the $5 donation. We'll get to the topic of Caleb a little later. Let us finish with our defensive talk. I'll bring that one back in. And Flex Diggs says the D-line stepped up, and having TJ Edwards back was really noticeable. He plays with instincts and discipline. Hard to argue with that point, right?
Yeah, well, that's his game. He's very, very instinctive. He's one of the, you know, to me, he's a lot like Briggs was when we had Briggs. Very, very instinctive. He doesn't have the speed, you know, that some of the other guys have, but it's those instincts that make him really, really good.
Yeah, indeed. I do think that Kyler Gordon got burned one time for that touchdown, and he may have been burned again. And I think the announcers wrongly said it was right. But I think it was, and I meant to go to the All-22 to take a look at it, but I didn't have time. Overall, Kyler's going to play much better football as the season wears on. This was his first game back.
First real contact all year.
Yeah, and I think Ben Johnson, prior to the game, said, we really don't know what we're going to get out of Kyler because he hasn't played in a game since last season, and which is a really good point. He missed all of that preseason.
Yeah, Nero's pointing up with him. He's going to get better every game as he gets more play time over the next couple of weeks.
Indeed. CJ Williams brings up Billings. Boy, that guy is massive, and he can move for a big man.
He really can.
He really can. I remember when you dug up some information about his weightlifting achievements as a high school player. He's amazingly strong.
Powerlifting champ. I mean, the numbers, and it wasn't just that he was the Texas State powerlifting champ. He set records and everything. And no whether they that was a while ago when he was in high school. Whether he still holds the records, I don't know. But I mean, coming out of high school, this dude was really strong. He was like a 700-pound squat guy, and then he had a power clean, a 500-pound bench. Really, really strong.
It looks like the coaching and the patience for Dominic Robinson is starting to pay off. He played well last night, and Bruce Ollie Walter Jordan says that it's all about coaching. Hard to argue with that. But I think D-Rob has to take some responsibility for his lack of stellar play his prior seasons, but there's definitely he's worked hard during the offseason according to accounts in the media and the coaches. So D-Rob is finally paying dividends. It's great to see.
I think D-Rob has always played the run fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
It's the pass rush.
Mm-hmm.
And this year the pass rush has gotten better.
Yeah. Nice. I do love seeing Tremaine Edmonds on the outside and TJ Edwards in the middle. We've talked about that before. And TJ, there was one play, that touchdown over the middle, where he probably his drop back, was not sufficient enough, and Daniels was able to hit his receiver in the end zone right over the middle near the end line. But aside from that, I didn't see any blemishes in the play of TJ Edwards. So that's a good guy. King Bookworld says Edmonds looks like he's a new guy out there. I do agree with that. Tremaine is being used much better than he has in the past here with the Chicago Bears. Dexter is getting praises by Roast Beef. Roast Beef, why do you have to name yourself Roast Beef? I'm really hungry right now. I'm starving.
And a prime rib.
Yeah. All right. Let's get back to Swanky's thing about Caleb Williams came through, but needs to improve. There's no doubt about that. He stared down Rome on 4th and 1, and they hit it late. Should have been picked, and he missed Kyle on the 2-point conversion. What do you think about what Swanky is saying?
I got to say the television analysis on the 2-point was right on.
Mm-hmm.
That you got a big 6'6" guy in right that was kind of blocking his view to see an unknown guy in the corner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true. Swanky goes on to says he didn't even look Kyle's way. That can't happen. He is the first overall pick in the draft. You can't miss your first wide open read. You can throw the ball late to Rome wide open on 4th and 1. She was wide open.
Wait, I got to argue with that point.
Please.
How do we know he's the first read?
Yes, that is always the question when we're evaluating quarterback play. We don't know what the assignment is, where his eyes are supposed to be, who's the first read, the second read, and so forth. It's tough. But I understand the frustration on the part of so many Bears fans. My issue with Caleb, and I was hoping that it would get better as the game wore on, and it did a little bit. It's just the accuracy issues that he's been having. And I know, playing with that mist in the air makes it a little tougher, but I'd love to, his completion percentage, which we just showed, was around 60%. It could have been a lot closer to 70% had he been a little bit more accurate with some of his throws. You got an issue with what I just said?
There are a few drops in there too that pushes it up. Just how about the big one to
Zacchaeus?
Yeah.
Yes. That should have been an easy catch.
Aikman tried to say the ball was off target. You're throwing to a pro receiver. It was right here.
Yes.
You catch that ball.
And it was clear that he was already turning his head before the ball was fully in his
he
hands.
might still be running.
Yes,
that might have been an 85-yard touchdown or whatever the hell the distance was.
Yes, indeed. And one of the things about OZ is I love his intelligence. I love his manner. Listening to him in press conferences, he talks about. He gets open because he knows what all 11 guys on the field are going to do, and on the offense and the defense. He's a really smart guy, and I think that a lot of that is going to rub off on Luther Burden, who had, again, Burden is just scratching the surface.
Right.
But as he gets more experience, Luther Burden is going to be a mess for people to deal with, opposing teams to deal with. He's got so much skill.
I really think they limit his reps because from the output of looking at, of knowing the offense, understanding the offense, he's not quite there yet.
Yeah.
And so, they got packages for him that they use, but to say, we can trade DJ and put him in there. No, that's not going to happen because he's not ready to assume that role.
Yeah. All right.
Talent-wise, he's that good, but
yes,
there's more. It's more than just talent.
Absolutely. You got to trust that the coaching staff is evaluating him correctly during the week, and they'll spoon feed him until he's really ready to get 10 targets or so in a game. Biggest negative issue is still the penalties. The Bears had 9 for 84 yards and are averaging 8.6 penalties this season for 72.4 yards. That's via Brad Biggs. Why is such a well-coached team experiencing so many penalties? Any thought?
We already talked about it at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, let's talk about some.
There was a few of those penalties that were a little iffy. How about the offensive pass interference on Loveland?
Oh my goodness! What a joke!
That was that was the worst.
Yeah.
And then you've got the penalty that wipes out the touchdown. You had the face mask penalty on the defensive back. He touched him on the side of the helmet, not the face mask. Just little things like that. Overall, poorly officiated game. We can bitch about it because we won. If you bitch about it and they lose, then you're a poor loser.
Yes, exactly.
So we can complain, just like I can complain about it. Hey, if Washington won, I couldn't complain about Aikman because then it's like sour grapes. But I'm going to complain now.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, that is a great point, though, Greg. That statistic there is. What's the word? It's not really quite accurate because the officiating, there was just so many mistakes by that officiating crew. It's almost like you should throw out those numbers, but we won't. It is what it is.
And Brad Biggs, and it just seemed like it was an obvious, like they go into that game saying, we're giving it to that team. And that's a horrible thing to say, but that's the way it looked like.
It certainly did. It certainly did. In your experience with the NFL, Greg, did you notice NFL officiating crews sometimes being swayed by the home crowd?
It's not necessarily swayed by the home crowd. It's swayed by the team.
Because they yell and say, it's a penalty. All of a sudden you see the flag come out.
Like Kansas City gets a lot of calls. Why did Kansas City get a lot of calls? Because they're as good as they are, and so you lean that way. Well, they can't be doing anything wrong. They're the world champions. Come on.
There was somebody.
The Bears, what it gets down to, and it's like officiating in the NBA. A rookie doesn't get the calls, but Michael Jordan gets the calls, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got to earn the right to get the calls. But I think, here's what happens. Every bad play that the coaching staff felt was a bad penalty, they send the clips into the league.
Yeah.
And those get reviewed. And that's how the official, each official gets graded on each game.
Right.
And that's how they come up with these all-star officiating crews, for the playoffs based on what their grading is during the season.
I saw someone posted this. I wish I could remember the source, but that somebody stated that officiating crew is known. I think it was Olin Kreutz last night on The Score. That officiating crew is known for throwing the most penalty flags during the course of the game. They have
been number one throughout going into yesterday's game. Through the first 4 games of the season, they had been number one on flags, but there was a big inconsistency in that game.
Yeah.
As far as, there's a lot of flags, but the flags were mostly going in the direction of Chicago, not in the direction of Washington.
Yeah. Thank you with another donation. Thanks a lot, buddy. I really appreciate that. And he's asking us, who do you have more confidence in right now, the head coach, Ben Johnson, or quarterback, Caleb Williams? I mean,
both.
Yeah, but if you're asking,
both are growing, and they're growing with each other.
I love that fact. There was, the Titans fired their head coach, and I think on Get Up this morning they said this is like the 5th time a head coach has been fired during or immediately after the number 1 overall pick quarterback, has been with the team. And unfortunately, it just wasn't in the cards that we would get Ben Johnson during Caleb's rookie season. But nonetheless, they're growing together, like you said.
Reality is, people said, well, they could have got Johnson last year. No, they couldn't. He didn't want a job last year.
He didn't want it.
Happening.
Right.
So
he had unfinished business, and he knew he wasn't quite ready.
To touch on the Tennessee thing, I think this is really interesting. And I don't think anybody saw it. But there was a power struggle going on there a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Rand Carthon was the GM. And Rand is a very capable evaluator person and ever. Now, I don't know Rand.
Mm-hmm.
I know his dad. I know his dad real well. His dad was our fullback with the Giants.
Oh, wow.
And then he coached in the league, Maurice Carthon. But, Rand was like the personnel director at San Francisco, was brought up very well in the league to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So he becomes the GM, and then he hires Callahan to be the head coach. After 1 year, there is a power struggle going on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they played sort of well in Callahan's first year, and so I think Callahan was trying to push to gain a little bit more control.
Mm-hmm.
And the owner, who was relatively a new owner, taking over for his dad, sided with the coach. And now what happens? A year later, not even a year, boom, they fire that guy because what? She sided with the wrong person.
Oh, wow. That is wild. That is wild. Good inside information there from Greg Gabriel.
That's just my take, just watching the whole thing and seeing how it played out.
All right. Flex digs, the Titans let Mike Vrabel go. So how's that going? Like a big time mistake in my mind. I want to get back to what Swanky was asking. I have confidence, utmost confidence in both of them. But my admiration for Ben Johnson right now, I truly believe this guy could go into that pantheon of coaches like Bill Walsh and Parcells. I'm not saying he has that style. He has his own style. I just think he's a great leader of men. He's super creative. He's intelligent. And he's just scratching the surface. He's going to become better and better as a head coach. And if for some reason something happens to Caleb, I see them continuing to win if Bagent is the quarterback. Is my optimism meter way too high, Greg?
Say that again.
I said that I think they could continue to win if Tyson Bagent were to move into the quarterback, because if Caleb was injured or something like that.
Oh, I think Tyson Bagent's very, very capable.
Yeah, and I think with the great coaching that he's getting, hey, look at my lady is with me. Evie, thank you. All right, let's see. I got something here regarding, let's get back to the running game, because it really is probably the number one story, or Jake Moody is probably the number one story. We'll get to him in a second, but I wanted to play this. Ben Johnson talking about DeAndre Swift.
Oh, it was huge. This is the best, the most efficient. We've ran the ball all year. Really felt an attitude with him. He did a great job finding a little crease and stepping on the gas, as we talk about. Played a physical style. Not only that, the catch, 55-yard touchdown was really a game changer for us. That was a time in the game where we needed a little spark. We're kind of, faltering just a little bit as a team, and all it takes is one guy to make a big play like that and really ignite us again. And so I think it's who I really thought he was going to be going into the season. Is we're looking for guys that can elevate the people around him, and he did that here tonight.
Remember the narrative going back in the spring? They're going to get another running back because Ben Johnson doesn't like Swift. And I kept saying, guys, That wasn't the case. Ben Johnson had nothing to do with Smith being traded away. They drafted Gibbs and Swift, similar types, and the general manager made the trade and got a 4th-round pick.
He got a 4th-round pick. Indeed. Yeah, I am totally with you. He has shown nothing but confidence in DeAndre Swift, and now finally it's paying off. I also want to talk a little bit about Kyle Monangai. His numbers don't look very impressive. I think I got them here. He had 5 rushes, 19 yards. His long was 7. He did catch 1 pass for 25 yards.
That was a nice play. I thought it was Swift for a second.
Yeah, me too. There's a bit of a resemblance there. Do you think Kyle Monangai could become a better pass blocker than DeAndre Swift, despite the size?
He missed a block early in the season, but if
I
you
remember
go back and you look at your college tape, very good run blocker or pass blocker in college. When you get into pass blocking, a lot of it is want to. You got to have the courage and the want to say, I am going to step in there. Because, hey, here's a guy, he's 5'8", 5'7.5", 210 pounds, and he's taking on a guy 6'3", 330 or whatever. And he stands up there, faces up. So I hate when guys cut block. You're standing there and you face up and you whack the guy. That takes a lot of toughness, and he'll do it.
Yeah, indeed. I hope that this game, what it does is unlock the running game, because you've talked about it. Coach Johnson has talked about it, the importance of the running game to what he does. If they're running the ball successfully, that
action just jumps off the charts then.
Oof, man, oh man. And I see a lot of people talking about Roshan in the chat, and it was just 1 carry for 9 yards yesterday, Greg, but do you think he can really help this team if he is 100% healthy? He's not having any of those concussion issues. And what do you like about Roshan?
He's a different dimension than the other guys.
He's more
of a big power guy.
Okay.
He's a big dude. He's 6'1", 225, 230. He's something that they don't have. Swift is 5'8.5", 5'9". Monangai's 5'8". They're built, they're solid guys, but they aren't as big as Roshan is.
And I do have a question. It's not a complaint, so it's a question regarding Ben Johnson's schemes. I have expected there to be more of the creative stuff that was known for in Detroit. I watched that Detroit game this weekend, and they had a play that was penalized because Jared Goff did it incorrectly, but he was lined up over center, and then he went in motion, and it was a direct snap to the running back who threw a touchdown pass to Jared Goff. I haven't seen any of that stuff with Ben Johnson. Am I wrong? And if I'm right, all I need to do is be patient because it's coming.
If you go back and listen to what he says, and that's the one thing I do is I always listen. He says, I got those tricks in every game plan, but they got to be at the right time. You got to call at the right time. The situation's got to be right. And, some games, the opportunity to use it isn't there. Like he used the flea flicker a few weeks ago. Then he uses the fake flea flicker last week or 2 weeks ago against the Raiders.
Yeah, that's true.
He's got them. And it's not like you're going to dial up a trick play every game. You got to have the right situation. And part of it's a film study that you do. What are the tendencies of the defense in certain down and distance situations?
And J2K says something, and I know J2K studies tape, so I take this with a lot of credence. Ben's run game is incredibly creative. Can you give me an example, or J2K, can you put down in the chat room one aspect of that creative running game? Because I'm just kind of a meathead fan. I want to be able to learn more about the game, but I just would like to know a little bit about what he does in the run game that we can call creative.
First of all, the run game is only as good as the blocking. So it starts up front. But what he does, and I didn't know this at first, it's after he got hired, I started doing some research. Some teams are strictly they block a certain way and they stay in that type of scheme the whole game or the whole season or whatever. He changes up his blocking schemes, literally play to play at times. And so that in itself can cause confusion.
Okay. Yeah, I did hear him talk about that when he says that he spends more time coming up with run plays than anything else when he's preparing. And part of that is finding the right matchup, the right guy to block that particular player on the defense to create openings. So that all makes sense to me now. I get you. It's not about
part of it is it's got to work in unison. You got 5 guys on the offensive line. They all got to do their job. And so, if there's a breakdown, one guy misses a block, it can, screw up the whole play.
Very good. Well, in an upcoming episode, I'm going to ask Greg to break down, as we did last week with some tape work, break down some of those creative blocking schemes. We'll work on that and have it either next week or a couple of weeks later. J2K says DJ's run in the end zone. I haven't seen that before. Wide receivers on the move to block in the A-B gap. Offensive line pulling very wide for an inside cutback lane. Thank you, J2K, for some examples of that. See what else?
That was a unique play. And again, another play where it was supposed to be a run. It wasn't an option like I'm going to throw. Like he was looking to run the whole time.
Yeah, indeed. All right, we have to talk about Jake Moody. This is the field goal kicker who won the game with his game-winning kick and nailed just about every other kick except one that was blocked. This is him after the game.
7+ yards per carry, so.
That's not him. That is the coach on Jake Moody.
7+ yards per carry. So that last drive was a lot of Swifty there, finding a little crease and getting us into field goal range for that last kick. So with that, I'll go ahead and open it up.
How crazy was it to see a kicker like that come in from the practice squad and have the type of game he had?
No, I wasn't surprised at all. We've seen him in practice now for a number of weeks. That's one, and then we also know what he's capable of. He's made big kicks in big games over the course of his career so far, so none of it was surprising. I think that's who he is, and I think that change of scenery was really good for him.
You had the one that was blocked earlier. Did that, in terms of the whole operation, what do you think, what happened on the block, and did you address anything changing for the last kick?
Yeah, we'll have to go back and look at the tape. I think the picture showed we might have had a little penetration there in the A gap, and we'll see if we got the ball up high enough as well. So we'll go back and look at that.
That was Swift.
All right, sorry about that. That was not the soundbite that I wanted, but nonetheless, we still get the idea. Jake Moody, what an incredible story. I mean, this guy was with the San Francisco 49ers. I understand that he had a personal issue with Deebo Samuel. Last year, he missed a kick, and Deebo went up to him on the sideline. And there's video of this. I should have pulled it, where Deebo pushes Moody, and so that may have exacerbated his departure from the 49ers. So this was a good revenge game for Jake Moody. What do you think about Jake Moody overall?
I don't know when that event you're talking about happened, as far as at what point during the season.
Right.
But he had some inconsistencies. And, he was replacing a guy in Robbie Gould who was consistent as hell.
Yes, indeed.
And rookie kicker, that stuff happens. But, he's been in these situations before. And on top of that, he's trying to win a job. And the job's probably not going to be here.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's the tape. He had to come in. Cairo's hurt. He can't kick. So he's got to step up and kick. Now, that could be, hey, somebody could steal him off the practice squad.
Mm-hmm. And it probably will happen at some point with
somebody needs to hurt. Yeah, because they just said, hey, you know, he had the calmness. The worst thing he did was not the block, was the kickoff into the end zone.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That gives the offense the ball 40-yard line.
Yeah.
You know, so, but the block, yeah, the kick, it looked, just from the angle of it, it looked like it would have been wide left anyway. But he didn't get under it enough, and it was too low, and it was easily blocked.
Yeah. I immediately saw, in fact, somebody told me that Yurko over at ESPN, I was shocked. If this is true, I was shocked that he would say such a thing. He said, cut Cairo right now and keep Moody. It's like, come on, you're a former player. You shouldn't even be entertaining that thought. So what do you say to people, not just Yurko, but fans in general, who are saying he should be in there instead of Cairo Santos?
Cairo is very calm, and I don't think he has the leg strength that Moody has. But if you look, his leg strength today is better than it was last year.
Yes.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay? He's so damn accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to take that into consideration, because, you know, you don't freeze this guy.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about when people are supportive of Moody over Cairo because Moody can hit that 60-yard kick in today's NFL?
Well, can he? As long in his career is 57. But and what's Cairo's 56?
Yeah.
So actually, the guy we had in camp had the real strong leg.
Yeah, Kim, I think his name was. Yeah.
But, you know, from Michigan State. But this was good for him, and it shows the importance of having a kicker on the practice squad. What would they have done had they didn't have a kicker on the practice squad?
Yeah, indeed. J2K points out that Torrey Taylor had another great game. Yeah, you know, as soon as I start complaining about players on social media, they immediately shut me up and start playing well. I've been complaining about Taylor a bit, and then he comes back and has another strong game. He has been looking much better. There's no doubt about it. Special teams. How do you evaluate special teams after this fifth game?
B- to C+.
Or what is it that needs improvement?
Kickoff coverage.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very, very average at this point.
I also, I'm going to complain about the guy and watch him run back one for a touchdown on Sunday. But Devin Duvernay has been a little bit of a disappointment. It doesn't seem like he ever gets it past the 30-yard line. I know I'm not correct there. He has. But I'm expecting some bigger stuff out of Devin Duvernay. And there's two guys back there. They never kick to Luther Burden. They're always kicking to Devin Duvernay. And it's because they don't have any respect for him. Am I fair?
I don't know if I agree with that. The guy's been to 2 Pro Bowls as a returner.
What have you done for me lately?
The speed that Burden has is like, we don't want to give it to that real fast guy.
Yeah.
Even though Duvernay actually ran faster coming out.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Like 4.39 or something like that, if I recall.
Wow.
But, you know, is what it is. And I like the idea that some teams only put one guy really deep. I like it that they have 2. You know what I'm waiting for? And I don't know if they can do it with this kick coverage the way it is now, is the throwback. You know, you catch it on one side, throw it across to the other guy.
Sure.
And go up. But, you know, with this kick coverage the way it is, you can do it on a punt. Whether you can do it on a kickoff return, the way, because you can't, the defenders who aren't that far away now can't move until the ball is touched.
Right.
So do you really have an opportunity to set something like that up? It'd be interesting to see. But I know, you know, having worked with this type of return, in the XFL, when I was with the XFL, I just kept thinking there's a lot of things you could do. You just got to get the blocking right because there's really just one seam. You break that one seam, you're gone.
You're gone. There's nobody back there. Maybe the kicker. Rock has a question. I think I know the answer to this, but I know Greg definitely knows it. He's asking if someone gets picked off the practice squad, do we get a draft pick for that?
No.
Nope.
You
do not.
Theoretically, you're supposed to have the opportunity if, let's say the Colts come along and they want to steal so-and-so. Theoretically, you should have the opportunity to bring them up to your own 53 if you want. But if you have no spot for them, then obviously you can't do it. And so then you got to let them go. I mean, and you got to do right by the player. He's making practice squad money now. He's going to get 53 money going to another team.
Yeah, indeed. A lot of comments in the chat room about the kick returner. We need competition at kick returner. Who else on this team can you think of who should maybe get a look back there if Duvernay continues to be unimpressive? And one person said that Duvernay is kind of washed up. He's not nearly the type of player he was with the Ravens.
That's another thing I don't think I agree with. But
yeah, go ahead.
But I mean, they used a bunch of different guys in the preseason. I'm sure during practice every day, they're using different guys. But part of it is you're putting a lot of pressure. It's like the Swift thing. Well, Swift's not getting enough yardage. Well, why wasn't Swift getting enough yardage? Because the fucking blocking sucked.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So why isn't the kick returns longer? Because the blocking isn't right.
Yeah. Indeed, a couple of people in the chat were mentioning the special teams blocking is not very good. So we'll have to, and that's really about players because, Hightower has had good blocking special teams units with the Bears before. And so it's just some of the players. Travis Homer,
Austin Booker got hurt on a kickoff return.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and my take on neither of those guys getting activated yet was part of it had to do with Cairo being out. And you gotta set your roster the right. You only got so many moves. You only can bring up 2.
All right.
And with Jared out, you needed another guy inside. And so they said, we'll just wait till next week. And that maybe took away from some of your special teams because those are 2 guys that are pretty good on special teams. The running back, he's more special teams than a runner. So, but I would think he'd be the last guy to brought up. Excuse me. Booker is going to be the next guy brought up, and I'd be surprised if it's not this week because he practiced full every day last week.
Yep, I agree with you. I expect to see him in this upcoming game. J2K has been, and a couple of other people have been saying, what about Josh Blackwell as a returner? J2K says he's got the hands, he's just small, and I can see why bigger guys are in the role at the moment. But Josh Blackwell, what do you know about him as a kick returner?
He's done some returns in the past. He had the long return last year against Green Bay on the throwback on the punt. Athletic guy, good teams player. I mean, these are coaching decisions, and we don't see practice.
Right.
We don't know what's going on in practice.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to second guess them.
Yeah.
Because they're doing a good job.
Right. Generally, yeah.
And I don't have the answers or the knowledge of knowing what's going on to say they should do this, that, or the other thing. They won 3 in a row. They very easily could have won the first game. They got killed in the Detroit game. So who are we to question?
Yeah.
I get it. That's what fans do. But sometimes I think it's kind of ridiculous and overkill.
Yeah. But
you got the coach you wanted. Let him handle it the way he's handling it.
Okay. Stop complaining, people. All right. Healing prayers and good energy to DJ Moore. We talked a little bit about what it could be that's troubling him, but we'll stop with the speculation and hope to get some word that he's on his way back to Chicago after spending the night at a Maryland hospital. It is kind of scary.
Ben doesn't do his, which I like, his Monday pressers till like 2 or 3 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So, and on top of that, they probably didn't get back here till 1 in the morning. I mean, they didn't get to Halifax probably till 1:30, something like that. And it's usually you're on the plane 2 to 2.5 hours, and then you got about a 2-hour flight. So I might be light and saying 1:30. It might have been more like 2:30.
Yeah, I agree. Probably it was very late. All right, let's talk about the Saints next weekend. They are a 1-4 football team, I want to say. They are having some problems with just about every aspect of their team. The biggest issue might be their secondary, Greg. It has been called the worst secondary in the National Football League. So I ask you, should we have expectations that Caleb is going to pass for 300 yards and throw for 3 touchdowns? Because that's what I'm expecting.
Or do you want 4 touchdowns so you can go get a free hot dog?
There you go. Now we're talking.
Whenever you think that a game should play out a certain way, it doesn't.
Tell me
that's
about
the
it.
beauty of the National Football League. What happened last week is irrelevant. Perfect example. The Raiders go to Washington and look terrible. Part of it is they had to go cross country. And a lot of times West Coast teams going cross country and playing early don't play well.
Right.
Okay, so but then the next week they're back at home and they play a lot better against the Bears. So you thought, well, we should be able to do this, this, and this. It's a different game, different players, different matchups, and that's the beauty of the NFL. Is that what happened last week, or what happened? You could say it with college too. What happened between Indiana and somebody has nothing to do with how Indiana is going to play a different team, because it's all about the matchups.
Yeah, indeed. D. Starin is asking, is Caleb still on a 4,000-yard season? I saw this on Get Up this morning. It's projected if he continues to play all games and he averages what he's been averaging in terms of passing yards, that he will eclipse that 4,000-yard mark by.
That's why I don't give a shit. And I'll tell you why.
It's bragging rights, though. Go ahead.
Yeah, I get that, but you're in Chicago. You're going to have some bad weather games.
Oh, yeah.
Or probably have some bad weather games in the later part of the season. How about this? Because I looked at the schedule, because right now they're in a run of 4 out of 5 games are on the road. 3 out of the final 4 are at home. Okay, what are the chances the weather's ideal in those 3 games at home?
Not very good.
Okay, so that affects your passing game. So that to me, that's the main reason that nobody's hit 4,000 yards. Not that who's playing quarterback.
Yeah,
it's the weather has an effect on the numbers, especially when you get late in the season.
But let me counter with this. I think that he will, primarily because he's got guys who are so good at running with the ball after the catch. I mean, we saw it yesterday. It was a 7-yard pass to DeAndre Swift. He turns it into a 40-some yard touchdown. 55. Thank you. And so it is those yak yards that are going to get him across. This team has been built so that all he has to do is complete those short and intermediate passes, and all of a sudden that a ball that's in the air for 10, 15 yards could end up being a 30, 40, 50-yard a play. And that is how you win. If you're going to rely on the passing game, is how you win in the winter months in all cold weather cities. Because there have been really good quarterbacks who have the strong arm and have players who are good at yak. Brady and Edelman. I think that's a perfect example. You throw a 3-yard pass to Edelman, all of a sudden he's got 20 yards.
Yeah.
So
I get it. You know, I'm of the thinking, look, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's not a reflection on Caleb more than it is the elements. Now,
I totally agree.
Saying that, when and if the stadium ever gets built, that changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're playing, not only are you playing 8 games at home, some years 9, in a dome stadium, but you know at least 2 of your games, Detroit and Minnesota, are going to be indoors too.
Mm-hmm.
So now you got no excuse. You can throw the ball all over the place.
Mm-hmm. What do you know about the Spencer Rattler, Caleb Williams backstory? Because they used to play on the same team. Caleb took over.
They were at Oklahoma together.
Oklahoma, right. And Rattler lost the job to Caleb. Does that play a role, you think, psychologically?
It might on Spencer Rattler's psyche going to the game, but it was so long ago. It was Caleb's freshman year.
Yeah. I remember seeing that game. All of a sudden, there was the change made, and I think on the very first play, Caleb went in, and he ran the ball for an explosive play.
Yeah. He might have gone for a touchdown. If not, it was a really long run.
Exactly. And
yeah, I remember that too. I didn't see the game, but I saw replays of it. And so, it's a long time ago.
It doesn't matter.
If the media wants to make a big deal about it, so be it. But in all honesty, I don't think the players give a damn.
Yeah. Let me see. I got a couple of questions here, and I'm asking people in the chat. Far away if you've got some more. Squeegee wants to know, will the Saints be a tough game because they know Dennis Allen? How much does that factor in?
Players know Dennis Allen. Different coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, Dennis Allen knows the players.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a two-way street. I don't know. I don't think I can give a fair answer, only because there's familiarity. Well, there's familiarity with Flus. Flus knew the Bears.
Right.
Bears kicked Flus's rear end.
That's right.
Okay, so
everybody has been lately. Did you see what happened in that last Cowboy game? It's 4th down and 3, and he's got one of the cornerbacks playing soft 7 yards off the line of scrimmage, and they easily complete the first down pass. And so everyone is calling for Eberflus's neck in Dallas, except the coaching staff, the head coach, who says he believes in Eberflus. So those might be his last words.
You know how that wheel gets going. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right, let's see. Any other questions? 6 week of football. What's your prediction for the next 6 games? Let's I'm
going to go back. I meant to say this earlier.
Sure.
There was at no time during the game yesterday that I thought the Bears were going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very similar to 2 weeks ago when they played the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're losing. They're behind, but they will win this game. That was just that gut feeling. You watch games and you go, there's no way they're coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I had that feeling. I think this team is, haven't been a player, haven't been working for a team that they are the one thing that this this team lacked was confidence in itself.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know how to win. They're learning how to win.
Mm-hmm.
They've done it 3 times in a row, and the last 2 times they've done it on the road, which is always harder, and done it in the last drive.
Indeed. Indeed. All right, let's take a look at this schedule and talk about this team that's learning how to win and their upcoming schedule. So we all have to feel really good about their upcoming match against the Saints. It's at home. They haven't been at home since September 21st, where they annihilated the Dallas Cowboys. And not to, let's hope the team is not even thinking at all about the Ravens, but we as fans can. Lamar Jackson is expected back for week 8. Now, who knows?
Roquan and Lamar are expected. Are they off this week, or are they?
Good question.
There's only 2 teams that have a bye this week, but
Okay.
whenever their next game is, they're expected to play. Baltimore has been playing terrible, but the game's in Baltimore, and I think that could be a nasty game.
Yeah, you're right.
My
They
honest
do have a bye.
feeling. I mean, only because that is a really, really good football team, and they're really in the hole now. Got to find a way to break out of it, and that breakout or try to break out maybe against the Bears. I'm just trying to be honest on this.
Sure.
And I look at the next 4 games, and I see 3 wins. I do not see a win in Baltimore. If that happens, yeah, I would have loved to have played Baltimore this week.
Yeah.
I'd love to have played Baltimore last week.
Yep.
They're going to get them now when they're getting back to full strength.
Yeah, and there's just way too much talent on that roster to take that for granted that this losing streak is going to continue, particularly after that. They do have a bye, Greg, so that's going to be a tough game. There's no doubt about it.
They do have the bye this week?
Yes, they are in a bye this week.
They're going to be coming off the bye, playing at home, 2 weeks to prepare, gives the staff 2 weeks to prepare. That game's going to be a tough game. But hey, if you win 3 out of the next 4, that means you've won 5 out of 6.
Not bad.
I'll take it.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Bengals. I know that's 3 weeks away. But I wanted you to react to Mike Tomlin was not very happy about the trade that sent Joe Flacco to the Cincinnati Bengals. He said, I don't understand why a team would want to trade a quarterback to a division rival. It doesn't make any sense. You think Tomlin was out of line saying that? Or, they got a draft pick for a 39, 40-year-old quarterback. To me, I don't care where it comes from. Give me the draft pick.
Honest opinion.
You don't give
Who cares about Joe Flacco? I mean, at this stage in his career.
Very good point.
Okay. I get where Tomlin's coming from. And I think he's looking at that from a standpoint, just a standpoint of why do you trade to a division team?
Right.
But hey, Cincinnati without Joe Burrow is hurting for certain.
Yeah.
So, and Joe Flacco ain't going to help him.
I do say this, and this is primarily for fantasy football owners who have.
What is this way? Go back, and I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Sorry.
Use last night's pass rush against Joe Flacco, there would have been 10.
Oh my gosh, yes. yes. The one good thing about Flacco is he and Jamar Chase are going to establish some connection. I think we saw that in that first game. And so that's going to be the key thing for the Chicago Bears. By the way, I forgot to ask you this. Yesterday, Tyreek Stevenson, you only heard his name once.
He got beat on a double move. He played a pretty good game. There was one play, and probably nobody saw it or thought about it. They ran, it was in the second half. They ran, might have been in the fourth quarter. No, it was the third quarter. Because they were going right to left. They ran a sweep or an outside run to the right side, so his side. He came up and crushed that play right at the line of scrimmage. That's and to me that was, give him the clap, man. That was a very good play on his part.
Yeah, indeed. I am so happy that Tyreek play the kind of game where people can't point at him. I think he's on this kind of rehabilitation of his mind to get over what happened a year ago. And for him to now string together some productive games is great. This guy has a chance. Tyreek Stevenson has a chance to be one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. Am I exaggerating?
He's got a chance to. Whether it's going to be, I don't think he's ever going to be better than Jalen. But yeah, he's got a chance to be a darn good corner, and he's best when they play press. Without Jalen, you're still hurting. You're not going to have him the rest of the year. At least we think we're not going to have him the rest of the year.
Right.
There is an outside chance. He's got to play play big every week. But the important thing with him is that going into the season, you didn't know if you could trust him. And now you know you can trust him.
Yeah.
He's proven that. And I think not only has he won over the coaching staff, he's won over his teammates. And probably the teammates before the coaching staff, because it's the teammates who he let down a year ago.
Indeed. J2K has a great question here. It says, Dennis Allen blitzed a lot last night, which was far more than his 4% in previous games. Do you see that trend continuing, Greg?
I think it depends on who the hell they're playing.
Yep. Every game plan is different for the opponent.
Yep. You figure out a plan to try to beat that opponent. And hey, they got beat a couple times by Daniels with his ability to scramble.
Yeah.
Every time I thought he was dead in the water, and then where the two defensive linemen were coming from the defensive left side, all of a sudden there was no contain beyond that. And he, breaks down the right sideline for a long gain and a first down.
Yeah. So we'll take a look at some tape and see whether the answer could be blitz Spencer Rattler or to make it difficult for him to complete passes by keeping 8 guys back. So that's going to be the big question. I'm sure we'll talk about
a combination of the two.
Yeah. I'm sure Danny Schimmon is taking a look at the tape as we speak so that we can talk about it on Buffon 55. Greg, anything else you want to talk about regarding this game or the upcoming game against the Saints?
No, I'm looking forward to it. Okay, now you got a short week. I don't think it's going to be that big a deal because they had they had the bye and one day playing on Monday. So they've had some rest. So it shouldn't have a drastic effect in preparation for the game. And then after that, you don't have a short week again until Thanksgiving because you're playing on Black Friday against Philadelphia.
Yep. So I think it was Kevin Byard who was complaining about the schedule, saying this bye is way too early. Now we have 13 games to play without a break. Are you of that thinking? I mean, because I know that the bye was beneficial in some ways, but the fact that they are playing 13 games in a row now, does that concern you?
You can't control it. So no, you got to deal with, what's the phrase I use? Play the card you're dealt with. That's the card you're dealt with. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's what the schedule was. Deal with it.
Yeah. Key thing in today's NFL, the teams that usually make it to the playoffs are teams, and this isn't always the case, but teams that are primarily are the most healthy in the division. And of course, we saw Detroit last year. They were decimated on defense, and they still got to the playoffs. But that was because they had Ben Johnson calling the plays over there. So, all right, I think that will do it for today's episode. Great win, Greg. On a scale from 1 to 10, how happy are you right now after that performance?
Oh, I'm real happy because I like the way it happened.
Doesn't he remind you?
I got to tell you, though, because it's funny, and I might have said this before.
Okay.
So it's just me and my dog here, right?
Yeah.
And so I get a little excited, and the dog's like, he doesn't know what the hell's going on, and he's looking at me like, did I do something wrong?
Lord, got to tell you, my dog, I thought he was going to pass away this past weekend because he's old. He's 16, 17. He's going to be 17 in January.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, what was it? Saturday night, he starts bleeding profusely from his nose. And so we rush him to the vet. And
Yeah,
of
you
course,
gotta go Saturday night, you got to go to an emergency vet, right?
yes, we went all the way to, gosh, I forgot the suburban vet hospital. It was a beautiful hospital. So they checked him out. And of course, he stops bleeding as soon as we get there. So, you know, it could be this, it could be that. Do you want us to run these expensive tests and so forth? So, you know, we have him home. He hasn't bled since. So that dog he's like a cat. He's got 9 lives. He's still hanging in there, and we're grateful for every single day we have with him.
It reminds me of a story I got to tell you. So this was with our other dog that he died. He was 13 years old, died in 2016. But about 5 months previous to that, you know, he's just listless, real sick, laying down at the door, doesn't drink water, doesn't want any food, feels terrible, you know, with you. Oh my God, he's got to go. And so I take him to the vet. They go, I don't know. You got to take him to this emergency clinic, and so which costs you a fortune. And you got to do this and this. So I go take him there. By the time now, he's real sick at about 7 a.m. I get into the vet about 9. Then I take him to the emergency clinic, and now it's probably 1 o'clock. Well, he's there. All of a sudden, the tail's wagging. You know what it was?
What?
He ate a couple apples the day before, and the acid from the apples gave him an upset stomach. And it's like, you know, you learn a lesson. Don't ever give a dog an apple.
Yeah, don't ever. Absolutely not. And I gotta share this one quickie. So we're in the waiting room. You know, they got our dog in the examining room, and while we're waiting, a woman walks in with her pet who had been sprayed by a skunk.
Oh, that happened to my other guy too.
But I'm wondering, why not leave the dog in the car or something and then come in and ask, you know? And so everybody is going, oh, whoa, what is this smell? And the lady turns. Yes,
and you can see the stuff. My dog got it right in the face.
Uh-huh.
And you can literally, it like sticks to their face.
Oh, it's awful.
And you got, there's a stuff you can buy. You know, it used to be bathe them in tomato juice and all that. That doesn't work. There's a stuff you can get. It's not, you know, you can get it like at PetSmart or some of those places, and it works really, really well. And in like 10 minutes, it's gone.
You know, and so this lady gets angry at us because we were going, oh, that's awful and stuff. She snaps at us, and then they take her into the back room, and about 10 minutes later, she's leaving and she's still swearing. And so we find out later she was angry because they told her at the hospital, there's nothing we can do. You got to go home and give the dog a bath with using blah, blah, blah. And so she got really, really angry that there wasn't.
You know what? She didn't want to deal with the problem.
Exactly.
You fix the problem. You know,
exactly.
Hey, that smell was. We had to put our dog in the garage. We wouldn't let him in the house, obviously.
Yeah, you don't,
dude. You're staying out here.
Thank you. Quick question from Danger T: who is the best team in the NFL? The best team in our division, Greg? Who is the best team in the NFL? Best team in our division? He repeats.
Well, Buffalo is being down their leg right now. I'm not watching the rest of the league that much right now, so I can't even tell you who's in first place in some places.
Yeah,
I'm not paying attention to it. So I don't know. Kansas City is come back. They're starting to play a little better football. To me, it seems like, you know, everybody's been like this a little bit. The hot team right now is our team, the Bears.
Yeah, right.
In a row. But that, you know, the people won't give them that credit because they got blown out in Detroit. And you know, they got to beat a real tough opponent, and then it'll be a different story. Then you'll see a different narrative.
Well, everybody thought the Commanders were a real tough opponent, but now that's being.
I never looked at them as a real, you know, I watched them a little bit over the past few weeks, and I thought they'd been up. I felt all along they were beatable.
Mm-hmm.
Put it this way, the team is right about where I thought they'd be after 5 games at 3-2.
Yeah. All right. All right, don't forget Buffon 55 tonight at 8 p.m. Central, and on Bears Country Productions at 3 p.m. Central. It is those guys from across the pond with their show, always entertaining. And rest in peace to D'Angelo. No, that's not our. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was Jerry Angelo, but he's fine. It's a music person named D'Angelo has passed away, and our condolences to his.
Something came over my phone. It said somebody in a Grammy winner was 51 years old, passed away. I don't.
D'Angelo, yeah, he's an R&B singer. Yeah, that's sad. The British Bears. Thank you, Mr. Shorty. That's my brain. I had a TIA. Remember, couldn't remember the title. British Bears at 3 p.m. Central. And Greg, you're the absolute best. This was a lot of fun. I'll see you next week, same time, same station. Okay.
You'll see me in about 1 minute, but
that's right. You're not going away. He's got a great story to share it with me, and I'm not telling you guys what it is. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.